Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Disneyworld Vacationer. I'm your host, Tiki Lagoon Sam, and I want to welcome everybody to my new podcast that I'm really excited to start. Um, Here, we're going to be talking about Disney World vacations, including hotels, the theme parks, Disney World news, Disneyland, as well as some Universal, because I do love to vacation there as well. So, I created this podcast because, when I first took my trip to Disney World in 2012, it was going to be a one and done kind of trip, once in a lifetime trip. But of course, when I went there with my family, came back, I got bit by the bug. I couldn't get enough of it, so I started to listen to a lot of different podcasts and watch YouTube videos of the parks, and was just really excited to just go back and research and relive those experiences. A quick information about me is I grew up going to Disneyland. I live in California, and I was going probably right before going to Disney World. I was going to Disneyland once a week, so I was a regular there, and I really enjoyed going there. Most of the time, I would go solo. I don't have any kids, and I really was able to delve deep into the Disney experience, the details. Go there for dinner. I live about 30 minutes away from there, so it doesn't take me that long to get there. So that was a great experience. And then once I had some distant relatives that did visit Disney World as a trip, I started thinking about it. And at first I was thinking, no, I don't want to go to Disney World. Disneyland is the original. It's my home park. It's right here. They have very similar rides. And then I started to think about taking vacation. And I started looking into, okay, well, let me just see what kind of hotels they have there. And then I saw what kind of hotels there were available with all these different beautiful theming. And then I looked at the parks, and then I started to say, wow, this is actually a very interesting and looks like a fun place to go. And that's history. So now we're going typically twice a year for about 2 weeks. Every time we do visit the parks in Disney World, traveling from California. Um, but what I want to talk about on this episode is the resorts and what is the best resort to book, to stay. And this is based on my experiences and where I've stayed. A lot of places you go to read reviews or compare, and a big question is, where should I stay? Because they have so many hotels and resorts there. I believe it's like 22 or, somewhere around that area as far as Disney hotels. Then you have the offsite resorts. But of course, being a Disney fan and wanting to get that full Disney World experience, staying at the Disney hotel with the theming that they have and their incredible theming at each hotel is something that really makes the vacation for me and my family. So I wanted to talk about the best hotel to book, to stay. And when you read reviews or listen to podcasts or videos, most of the time the consensus that they come up with and tell you is, well, here is based on your family. You have these different choices, everyone's different, this, that, and the other. I say throw that in the garbage. All right, this is overall the best feeling you'll get as a Disney lover, and which hotel to book, because you're going to be spending a lot of money to do so, and you want the best. So I'm not going to be one of those that gives you a vague answer and beats around the bush and tries to give you information where you'll be like, okay, I'm not sure. I'm still not sure which one is the best one, so I still have to look at it. No, I'll tell you exactly what's the best one. And as far as a lot of information you'll get out there, you'll hear the motto location, location, location. Now, when it comes to the Disney Resort, the Disney Resort hotels, location doesn't really matter because you're going to be using uh, the Disney transportation, or you'll be within a certain vicinity at any of the Disney hotels you stay. So the difference is going to be between 5 to 15 minutes, which is not that much time as far as travel time to get to the parks from the hotels. Now, there is some nuances here and there for people who, for example, at the Contemporary Resort, which is a deluxe hotel, people with strollers and a lot of kids, a lot of things you hear about people preferring to stay at the Contemporary is, oh, it'll be easier. I can walk from the Magic Kingdom to the Contemporary and back without having to wait for monorail or transportation, so it's easier with the stroller and etc. And that's true. But when you're staying at a Disney hotel or resort, you're not staying there, not paying because you want to be 5 versus 15 minutes away from the parks or what have you. You're staying there because of the way it makes you feel, the magic it has, the theming it has. You know, at the end of the day, when you leave the parks, let's say, for example, Magic Kingdom, and you go to the Polynesian, it's like almost an extension of Adventureland. You know, you look forward to it. It's not because, oh, it took me only 5 minutes instead of 10, 15 minutes to get to the Polynesian. So, you know, that's something that I don't think is that important when picking a Disney hotel and what makes you feel good on your vacation. So right off the bat, I'm gonna go with the top three of mine. Um, the best I would say is always it's usually a struggle between the Grand Floridian and the Polynesian. And I would tip toward the Polynesian because it's more unique than the Grand Floridian. And the third one that comes into play is the Wilderness Lodge. Those are the top three. They all happen to be deluxe resorts, obviously, and that's because their theming is really what set them apart. But I will say, if you want to save some money and can't afford those, the other one I would stay at, even if I had the money to stay at a deluxe resort, but I wanted to save some money, or just out of pure preference, Port Orleans Riverside is an amazing, amazing moderate resort that you can save some money to stay and have incredible theming. It's really beautiful there. Um, just to give you guys a idea of where I've actually stayed and vacationed, like I said, I since 2012 I've vacationed Disney World twice a year, staying at multiple resorts in a span of 2 weeks every time I go, because I love to experience the different resorts and see what's better for my next trip or how I feel. So kind of giving you a rundown of where I've actually stayed. First trip we stayed at the Polynesian in a standard view room, and that was amazing. The Polynesian, you know, when you go there, you walk in, you see all the tiki torches lit up at night. It's a beautiful walk. It has its own little beach. Across the lagoon, you can see the Cinderella's castle. Um, and it's very private too, in a sense, because most of the times, all these years that I've gone there and stand on the beach looking across the lagoon at the castle, and not many people around me, or just a few, and I always think to myself, how is this place not packed to the brim of so much beauty and magic that's surrounding you? It's just an amazing feeling. You could feel the history there. You can feel the magic. You get that special Disney feeling. You feel like you're in the heart of it all. And you know, when you're there, it's like it doesn't get any better than this. You see the lagoon with the boats taking people back and forth from the Magic Kingdom. You see the boat dock there. To your left, you have the beautiful view of the Grand Floridian, which looks amazing from across the lagoon as well. You hear the boats, the sounds. You can hear the train when the train is going in Magic Kingdom from across the lagoon. During the fireworks, you can see the fireworks going into the sky. It's just so magical. It's the most amazing area you can stay. And just thinking about the experiences that I've had there, and it's just that's the place to be. So Polynesian number one is where you want to be. The other resort was the Grand Floridian, and the Grand Floridian is one of those where when we first went on our vacation to the Polynesian and we visited the Grand Floridian, to me and my family, it was very cold. It was very uppity uppity scale. It wasn't something where I said I want to stay here. It was more, I'm so much gladder that I'm so glad that we picked the Polynesian, because even though generally the Grand Floridian is the flagship resort of Disney, um, it's um, it it doesn't feel when you visit it, it doesn't feel as unique and special as the Polynesian does. Um, so at first I wasn't too excited to stay at the Grand Floridian or even want to. But a few trips later, had actually had a convention um, that was taking place there, and they had a special rate for the Grand Floridian that I couldn't pass up. So I attended the convention there and stayed at the Grand Floridian and extended our stay with the rate at the time. And I have to tell you, it was so amazing, such a beautiful place to stay and actually come back to the room and walk the grounds and the pool and just the cleanliness of it and the music that they have playing on the grounds, the piano player inside, and with that at the time they also had the band that was playing live in the evenings. It was just everything together just felt so beautiful and so magical. It was something where you don't understand it until you stay there. And after staying there, we started staying there a lot. Um, Partly because some of the companies that I've worked for have gotten great rates over there for their conventions. So I ended up staying there. But if I had the choice, I would still have gone back to there. Um, but again, Polynesian still had a special place in my heart. Um, I would akin it to the Main Street. So when you go into Main Street and you get that sense of the era that it depicts and the magic that it has, and being on Main Street and the architecture and the music, Grand Floridian feels like an extension of Main Street. And once I realized that, it really got me into it and felt really special to me. So that was a really beautiful stay over there. I can't tell you in the Grand Floridian, I've had the pleasure of staying in a standard room. I've had the pleasure of staying in Lagoon View. I've also had the amazing opportunity and stayed in the main building club level standard view from there. Um, oh, that was an unbelievable stay. So that's something I would highly recommend. For the Polynesian, I have stayed in the standard view. I have stayed in their club level with their theme park view, and and also stayed in a room with the regular room, not club level theme park view. As well as last year, I actually became a DVC member and have stayed at their DVC Deluxe Studios, Standard View and Lagoon View at the Polynesian. So I've had a lot of experience in all different types of rooms at the Polynesian. At the Grand Floridian, I did book a trip to stay in their DVC Disney Vacation Club Standard View studio. However, it was only for 1A, and when I checked in, they had upgraded us to a one bedroom. lagoon view, which was unbelievable as well. So I have a lot of experience in different types of rooms in those resorts. The third resort that I would highly recommend is the Wilderness Lodge. The theming, the woods feel is unbelievable there. It's like an elevated cabin experience. It's for those, that want to get that cabin feel, but they don't want to go through all the hard work and the dirt and all that. It's just such a wonderful experience to stay at the Wilderness Lodge. Wilderness Lodge, I have stayed at their standard view room. I have stayed in the DVC studio in Copper Creek and Boulder Ridge. So they have two different buildings. Copper Creek is part of the main Wilderness Lodge building, and Boulder Ridge is the connected DVC tower to Wilderness Lodge. And I first had stayed in their standard room at Wilderness Lodge, standard hotel room. The next trip I had stayed in the Copper Creek studio, deluxe studio, standard, which was something I was really excited about, because when you compare Boulder Ridge and Copper Creek, Copper Creek has new looking rooms, new furniture. It's in the main building. So when you look at videos and you look at pictures, comparing the two, you see that Copper Creek is all shiny and brand new rooms, and you really want to stay there, versus Boulder Ridge hasn't been updated in a long time. So the furniture is older and worn. The TV is smaller. Before, they had added bigger screens to their hotel rooms. However, the room is larger. So when we went to Copper Creek and we stayed in Copper Creek, had a wonderful experience. But as soon as you walk into the room, there was three adults. We were three adults, and you can feel the tightness of the room. It is small. It is one of the smaller rooms for DVC studios. So you do feel that, especially the area between the bed and the TV stand. So it's not much wide. You don't have a lot of space to stretch out there and walk around. So when we came back the next trip and we stayed at Boulder Ridge, I was expecting to not like it as much, and points wise and price wise, it's the same as Copper Creek. So, I was always thinking, why would I spend the same amount of money staying in an older looking room? But boy, was I wrong. So, first of all, when you walk from the main lobby, Wilderness Lodge, Copper Creek, and go to the adjacent tower, Boulder Ridge, they have this wooden walkway with a little bit of a like a bayou looking water underneath, that when you walk, it's just like you're really leaving the hustle and bustle, and you're going into a secluded camping retreat. And it's so beautiful the way they made it. So you walk along the wooden planks, going across to the other building, which Boulder Ridge, which has its own little lobby that's a little cozy and very woodsy, and has all these types of wood decor, rocking chair, a little area where it has the history of Walt Disney and his love of trains, and his some of the actual train sets that he had in his home. And then you go up to your room. And when I enter the room, you open the door, I already immediately realized how much bigger it is versus Copper Creek. And again, this is the standard studio. You walk in and you have all this space to move around between the TV stand and the bed. As well as underneath the TV is the trundle bed, so you fold it out, so there's a third little twin size bed that you could sleep on. Well, Copper Creek doesn't have that. And then we walked out to the balcony, and oh my gosh, this balcony view was unbelievable. So we had a fourth floor standard view facing the lake. So what you see all around you is just trees. On the far left, you could see the Boulder Ridge pool, which is beautiful, and that was redone a few years ago. It looks amazing. The cabins, the over the water cabins, or along the lake cabins, by the trees, and then the lake itself. It's just so, you're secluded, but you're in nature, and it's just takes you to a different place. It's what Disney's known for as far as their theming is concerned. You're only a boat ride away from the Magic Kingdom, but you have no sense of that when you're standing on that balcony. And again, Boulder Ridge only has standard view, so there's not different categories you book. You can put a request in, because the other side of the building is, from what I've seen, is just the trees, but that's where the parking is, and where the bus comes up to pick you up to take you to the parks. So I requested the lakeside, and that's what I got, and it was unbelievably amazing. So those are the three that I would pick. Again, I would say the absolute best is the Polynesian. If I could only stay one place, or somebody asked me their first time going, I would tell them Polynesian hands down. You can't get any better than that. Second place I would recommend is the Grand Floridian. Again, that's such a beautiful resort, and you do get that old time feel of the Victorian era, like Main Street, USA. So really love that area. And then, as well as the Wilderness Lodge would be the other option. Any of these hotels, if I had to stay my whole trip, I would not be I would be very happy staying at any of those. Again, I like to do split stays because I like to see the different types of hotels, stay in them, feel them, and get different feelings throughout my vacation. So a lot of times, or most of the times, it would be a split between the Polynesian and Wilderness Lodge because they're so different. So that's what I would pick. Now, some of the other episodes coming up, I will be talking about my experiences in the different rooms, what type of rooms are the best, comparing the different club level rooms, the hotels, as well as Universal and their hotels. I have stayed in Universal as Portofino Bay Hotel and the Lowe's Royal Pacific. So I will let you guys know my experiences there and what's the best there. So thank you for tuning in on this episode of Disneyworld Vacationer. Again, I am your host, Tiki Lagoon Sam, and looking forward to the next episode. And thank you for joining. Take care.